Good evening. I just wanted to get on here for a little while and haven't really talked much about this, but I wanted to talk about a little bit what it's like to go through a significant head injury. And, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that, but this has probably been the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life. And, most of the health challenges that I've had in the past have been self-inflicted. Not sleeping enough, working too much, burning the candle at both ends. The most frustrating thing about this has been that it happened instantly. I went from being up at 5:30 in the morning, getting out in the sun, sleeping 8 hours a night, 10 hours a night, getting in bed by 9 o'clock and waking up at sunrise, to not being able to get out of bed at all in a split second. And quite honestly, if it wasn't for my dog like pulling me out of bed by my ear in the morning, I probably wouldn't be here today. That's probably the most difficult thing about this is, for the first time in my life, I literally have no willpower. It's been taken from me. And that's something I've never had to experience before. And it's very difficult, to say the least. And then the sleep. No matter what I do, I'm very literally the first month after my accident, I literally crawled out onto my patio. I tried to push through for the first couple days, and then I crashed and burned like crazy. And I literally crawled onto and that's where having habits is really important, like things that are non-negotiables. For the first few days, I literally crawled on my hands and knees out to my patio just to get my morning light, because that's what I do. Like, no matter what's going on, I find a way to get my morning light. And that was a saving grace. And then I got up enough energy to take Rommel outside to go to the bathroom. And then it turned into like, okay, we're going to go for a 2-minute walk. Okay, we're going to go for a 3-minute walk. And then I would set a timer and do, I've been doing a lot of, because doctors, it's literally where I'm at in the Panhandle. It's literally impossible to get into a doctor. There's so many people moving here, and there's so few doctors, that my first time the accident was June 20th. The first time I seen a doctor was last week. So, I've been doing a lot of self-treatment. I've been doing a lot of I've worked a lot with stroke patients, Parkinson's patients. So I know how to deal with brain injuries or brain, cognitive issues. So I've been doing a lot of primal pattern, rolling on the floor, doing what I can. I've been playing chess against myself. I haven't played chess in years. I'm trying to learn new skills. The hard part is the nice thing is I've made a lot of improvement. For 3 weeks ago, if I talked, I sounded like I was shit-faced, right? Now I can talk for 10 or 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30, and then I start slurring. If I get in a high-stress situation, I start kind of freaking out a little bit. I start panicking. But I've made some really great improvement. The problem is it's hard to train people and work when you can only work 15-minute bursts. So that being said, if you're an independent contractor, if you're self-employed, for the love of God, get yourself some disability insurance, so that if something like this happens to you, I'm very lucky. I had some people that helped me out, but even now it's I have some revenue streams that have nothing to do with me that are doing okay, but the stress of not being able to provide an income is massive, right? And that's something I should have had. And I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. And most of the people I've worked with in my training career have been type A people. And all the reasons I've gotten myself in trouble is because of being type A, doing too much in my job In other areas of my life, I'm kind of lazy. But as far as work is concerned and training is concerned, I've always done too much, been an overachiever. Now I'm learning the other side of the coin, which is a totally different animal. And probably the most difficult thing about the head injury is the lack of sleep. I'm lucky if I get 4 or 5 hours a night, which is not good. And I'm doing everything I can to sleep, trust me. And the suicidal thoughts are, I worked out with Chris Benoit when I was in high school. Chris was a super awesome guy. And if you don't know who Chris Benoit is, he was a wrestler. And he ended up killing his wife and his child and then killed himself. And I always used to think, like, how the hell do you do? Or Junior Seau that killed himself. Both of them had massive head. When they did Chris's autopsy, he had the brain of a 90-year-old. You know, all those head traumas and all the pain pills he took all those years. And I always thought, like, how did he do something like that? And now that I'm here, and obviously, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine my brain injury isn't as bad as Chris's was, but I can see how somebody could do something like that. Because I've never experienced this kind of depression and this kind of just negative, constant thoughts continuously, and it doesn't stop. And the way I've been dealing with it is I just tell myself, one more day. You're just going to do one more day. Just give me one more day, and that's how I get through it. And then my dog helps. I look at my dog and go, even though I'm having all these thoughts, I would hate to have my dog not have, somewhere to be. So just being brutally honest, but that it's absolutely, I've never had thoughts like this in my life. When I was a young kid, I went through a little phase where I tried to do some, stuff to myself to harm myself, but I went through that. I think that's a normal part of being an adolescent, but this is a constant barrage of negativity, of depression, of just suck, so you do the best you can to stay as positive as you can, and you take the little victories as you can, but it's nice to be going in the right direction. I'm going to be training a couple of people here in person here this week, and that's going to really help. The hard part about this is where I live. I moved here because it's isolated, and that's kind of biting me on the ass. And so, I basically have used the money from my car and the money from some of the people it gave me to live off of, because I basically sold my gym, and then I was starting a business with Dr. Stillman, and we were in the middle of making products and all that kind of stuff. We were about halfway through, and I was starting to coach for him when this happened. So for a whole month, I couldn't finish the product. I couldn't do any coaching for him. And then the coaching I was doing in person was just starting to ramp up. And so the timing on this couldn't have been worse. But the positive thing is now I'm going to be able to get out more and interact with people. I'm just so isolated here. This is a great community. I live in a community called Hammock Bay, and it's awesome. I've got a little general store down the street, and I order, my food comes in the mail, and so that's really helped. But not knowing anyone here really is kind of a difficulty. In Lexington, I would have had a lot more support as far as friends and things like that. So that's been a difficult part of this, but. I just wanted to get on here to, like, if you have a significant other, like if you look at Matt Hughes is a UFC fighter, and I was watching an interview with him, and he was hit by a train. So he's obviously a lot worse off than me. He speaks like he's drunk all the time, and he talked about what this is like to go through. So, whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder or, head injuries, things like that, this is just a completely different animal, like nothing I've ever experienced before. And obviously there's people that are in a lot worse shape than I am, but I thought I would share this so that maybe if there's somebody else that's going through something like this, or a spouse that's dealing with something like this, And, I'm just trying to do like, I've never in my life experienced the kind of cravings for alcohol and junk food like I have now. Like, it's insane, and I have to manage it because the willpower part of it is you don't have any willpower when you're sleep deprived and when you have a head injury. So I will, I'll do stuff like I'll eat a tub of Cool Whip with berries in it or something, or I'll have like a White Claw or something, one or two, a couple times a week, just so I'm not having to fight it's just insane. Like, I've never in my life had the desire to drink like this or to eat junk food like this. It's just amazing what happens when you have a massive head impact, how it changes your ability to reason and be rational. And then the sleep deprivation is just absolutely insane. Like, I'm constantly, if you follow me for a while, I'm constantly preaching about sleep. And when your sleep goes to shit, everything goes to shit, right? And, it'd be nice to be able to have access to like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and things like that to speed my recovery up, but I don't, unfortunately. But, people that are just sleep deprived because they're on their phones and things like that, I can see why they can't stop eating crap. Like, when you tell people, just don't eat that. Well, when you're sleep deprived, you can't make good decisions and you turn to a human vacuum cleaner, you really can't make that decision, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about people getting their sleep in order. But, this has been a new challenge for me, a different kind of challenge, and it's going to allow me, everything in my life that I've gone through has allowed me to help other people. And I always look at that as kind of the silver lining, whether it's my childhood or whether it's, the colitis I went through or the chronic infections that I was going through. These are all opportunities for me to be able to help others. So this is just another opportunity to have a different perspective on things, so that I can help other people. But I appreciate you tuning in and listening. Something just told me that I needed to get on here and kind of share this. I haven't really talked much about it. I went through a phase there where I tried to post a little bit after the accident, and then I waited a couple weeks because my speech was so terrible. And then over the last couple weeks, if you've followed what I've been doing, you've seen my speech improve, and I've been able to put coherent sentences together and speak without stuttering that much. And I'm looking forward to continuing to get better and putting this behind me. So I appreciate you tuning in. And if you know somebody that might benefit from this, please share it. But, just take things, no matter, how bad things are, one day at a time. So have a good one.